Heartbeat Alaska is brought to you in part by Coca-Cola.
By the generous support of the Alaska Native Health Board.
And by Chugachmute.
Welcome to Heartbeat Alaska. I'm Jeannie Green, bringing you Native news across the North. Up ahead on the program, we take a look at the Spectacled Eider. This is a segment brought to us by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And later we have an interview with Robin West and find out how the no hunting status on this duck affects Alaska Natives and subsistence. We travel to Sioux Lookout, Ontario, and visit Wawatay Television Production Studios, a Native television production studios, and see an overview of some of their work, and also a special segment on special education and their Native children. But first, here's Gary Fife with National Native News.
Thank you, Jeannie. This is National Native News. I'm Gary Fife. This week, a federal judge has ruled that a law that prohibits the use of the name Crazy Horse on an alcoholic beverage is unconstitutional. The judge ruled the law infringed on the rights of Hornell Brewing Company. But Seth Big Crow Sr., a maternal descendant of the Lakota warrior, was named as the new administrator for the estate of Crazy Horse. After trying to remain silent because of his traditional Lakota customs regarding disclosure of his ancestry, he's finally come forward in public to fight the brewery's use of the name. Big Crow Sr. said it was more important to work to stop this usage and that custom had to be sacrificed. Earlier this week, Larry Fox, attorney for the Hornell Brewery, said the judge's ruling in their favor allowing use of the name is a victory. He added that limits imposed by the congressional action were dangerous. Big Crow Sr. has vowed to continue the fight against the use of the name Crazy Horse, and Fox says the brewery will continue to market the malt liquor. The 1990 census found that almost 1.9 million people identified themselves as Native American. That was a big jump from the 1980 census. But federal officials wondered if confusion over the category might account for part of the higher numbers this time around. On Wednesday, Acting Census Director Harry Scarr told the U.S. panel that oversees the census that most of the racial categories work fairly well in the 90 count. But he said an analysis of the census raises questions about the Native American numbers. He felt that some people had incorrectly checked the box on that racial information. Racial categories are among the issues congressional oversight panels are reviewing as they look ahead to making improvements in the census process for the year 2000. The House panel is holding a series of hearings to review the 1990 census process and results. One bit of census information that most natives can count on is the designation of the counties with the lowest incomes. 4 counties that include reservations or major native rural populations are on the list of the bottom 25. They include the Menominee Reservation in Wisconsin and 4 reservations in South Dakota: Buffalo County, which includes the Crow Creek and Lower Brule Sioux, Todd County, which includes the Rosebud Sioux, and Shannon County, which includes the Pine Ridge Reservation. In Minnesota, members of the White Earth Band of Ojibwe have been working to regain land ceded over 112 years ago in their 1878 treaty. They hope to bring environmental and cultural protections to that acreage. Last year, the White Earth Land Recovery Project purchased a 40-acre traditional burial ground. The communicator of Migizi Communications reports the White Earth Project is currently purchasing a 715-acre parcel of land. The section includes 2 lakes, waterfowl nesting sites, wild rice and sugar maple tree stands, and the habitat of several medicinal plants. Native American artists or teams of artists have a unique chance to get their artwork displayed on an unusual spot, the public information kiosks on San Francisco's Market Street. The American Indian Contemporary Arts and Headlands Arts Center is accepting poster designs. Native artists are invited to enter the competition for the Public Arts Project, and their deadline is June 15th. And finally, Native American languages have been dying out, and in recent years, some natives and tribes have worked to preserve them. 2 bills in the Washington State Legislature are aimed at bringing some of the languages into the public schools. The first would allow coursework in a native language to qualify towards college or university admission. The other would permit native languages to be taught in the schools, and that study counted toward high school graduation. Both measures have passed the State House and gone to the Senate. This is National Native News, and for Heartbeat Alaska, I'm Gary Fife.
Uniquely Alaskan, the Tundra Times brings you the best award-winning weekly state-wide coverage. News and opinions. The Tundra Times takes on the issues from an Alaskan point of view. Published by Alaskans. If you make Alaska your home, you should be reading the Tundra Times. Receive 52 weeks of the Tundra Times for $20. Call now. Start reading in-depth Alaska reporting at its best. The Tundra Times, 274-2512. Call today. The Tundra Times.
Natives around the country are working to help the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service protect threatened and endangered birds and animals. Let's take a look at the Spectacled Eider, produced by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Eiders are large sea ducks. 4 species of eiders are found in Alaska: king, common, stellars, and spectacled. Spectacled eiders get their name from a large white patch or spectacle around each eye of the male bird. Female spectacled eiders are less distinct, but they have a faint brownish spectacle on a brown head and a blue-gray bill. Spectacled eiders feed in the ocean and in tundra ponds, eating clams and other small aquatic animals. Spectacled eiders nest from the north side of Bristol Bay to the Canadian border. Historically, about 70% of the world's spectacled eiders nested on the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta. Most of the rest nested in Siberia, with low densities elsewhere. No one knows where spectacled eiders molt or spend the winter. During fall migration, they are regularly seen near St. Lawrence Island. They probably winter near pack ice on the western side of the Bering Sea, staying in shallow waters. After arriving in pairs around spring breakup, spectacled eiders nest in the coastal tundra near lakes and ponds. Males leave the mainland by July for their wintering ground. Females and young leave by early September. Since 1957, waterfowl surveys have been flown over nesting habitat in western Alaska. The number of eider pairs seen on these surveys has declined by nearly 90%. For every 10 eiders seen in 1957, biologists now see only 1. Studies along the coast of the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta indicate the number of nesting spectacled eiders has declined dramatically during the last 20 years. An estimated 50 to 70,000 pairs may have nested on the Delta in the 1960s. Fewer than 3,000 pair nested there in 1991. Biologists working on the North Slope, near Prudhoe Bay and the Colville River, also report declining numbers of spectacled eiders during the past 10 years. Scientific studies are underway to determine why their numbers have declined and how we can restore their population. Biologists will study nesting and brood survival and environmental pollutants. They will place satellite transmitters on some eiders so they can track them and find out exactly where they winter in the Bering Sea. Eiders naturally have a low reproductive rate. They don't breed until they are 3 or 4 years old. Apparently, few hatchlings survive each year. An adult female has to return to the nesting grounds for an average of 8 years in order to produce another adult female to take her place in the population. The Fish and Wildlife Service is proposing to list the spectacled eider as a threatened species under the provisions of the Endangered Species Act. In summary, spectacled eiders have declined by 90% or more in the last 20 years in Alaska. You can help. Do not disturb them or take their eggs. Report any sightings outside of the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta to the Fish and Wildlife Service. For more information or to report sightings, in Anchorage, call 786-3423. In Bethel, 543-3151. In Kotzebue, 442-3799. And in Nome, 443-2479.
I spoke with Robin West, Migratory Bird Coordinator for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, on how the no-hunting status on the spectacled eider affects Alaska Natives and subsistence.
Subsistence hunting, we feel traditionally probably didn't cause the decline, but we are concerned about all birds that are being taken now as being important to reduce take to increase the numbers. This year, we're adding spectacled eiders to our discretionary law enforcement policy that deals strictly with subsistence hunting, and we are asking people not to take the birds at all. The decline of this species has been such as 90 to 95%, and they're a long-lived species, which takes a while for them to, maybe 6 years for a female just to reproduce herself. So each bird is important. The numbers are low enough now that we really have to restrict any take that's going on in order for them to recover. The level of law enforcement activities won't be much different than people have seen in the past during spring hunting. But one of the focuses this year will be on spectacled eiders, where in the past it's mostly been on a few species of Arctic nesting geese. Well, one of the major emphases of this effort is for information education. There won't be a law enforcement agent behind every bush. We want to get the message out to people and talk to them about the importance of not taking this particular bird. And this program certainly will help, and we are looking at posters and brochures and village visits and other methods also getting the information out to people, asking for their help.
For more information on the spectacled eider or any other endangered bird or animal, contact the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. On a later program, Heartbeat Alaska will bring you a segment on subsistence and the federal laws, how they affect the Alaska Natives. We'll be back with programming from Canada right after these messages.
We have always felt in harmony with the land.
Chakome, tapiwa, ta skumok, ta tapiachu, kenok anesche, matapiwa, makaspumos, akun.
Help the Soil Conservation Service help our earth. Call us today. We owe it to our children.
Rural Alaskans are more likely to die in a home fire than anyone else in the world. Not just the United States, the entire world. The statistics can show us the reasons, but they can't do anything about the problem. Only we can. Give some thought to fire prevention.
This message was brought to you by the Yukon-Kuskokwim Health Corporation as part of the National Community Volunteer Fire Safety Project.
We travel now to Sioux Lookout, Ontario, and take a look at Wawatay, a native television production studio. Here's a quick overlook at what they produce from Wawatay. It's fascinating for those of us in Alaska to learn about our Canadian brothers and sisters. Here's a segment produced by Wawatay entitled Everyone Can Learn. It's about special education in their native children.
For kids in Northern Ontario, school is a place to get together and try new things. Life in the remote north has never been easy, but it's even harder if you have to start out with a handicap. Samantha Moose was born with severe vision impairment. It seemed unlikely that she would ever be able to reach out beyond the walls of her parents' home. But here in the Pekanjigum school, people believe that everyone should be given a fair chance. In her grade 1 class, Samantha gets the same treatment as all the other kids her own age. And she gets something more, the care and attention of people dedicated to helping her succeed. The program is supported by the Department of Indian and Northern Affairs, backed by her parents and run by Birch-Dickey Choke School. With the help of special education teachers, classroom teachers, and Dean, her tutor escort, Samantha is finding her way in a dimly lit world. The key to Samantha's progress is her own spirit and determination. She's bright and always ready to take on something new. Being accepted by the other kids in her class is especially important. But even with all this on her side, she still needs others to help her over the rough spots. The special attention she gets from her tutor has made all the difference.
Oh, I think she's progressed a lot there. She didn't know how to count when she first started. And she didn't know our alphabets, colors, and all that. Now she's starting to know all those. For Samantha Lee, she needs a lot more material for her handicap ads. She needs a lot more material. Sometimes I run out of ideas what to teach her.
Without her tutor, Samantha would have no chance of going to school here in Pekanjigum. Like so many others, she would have to be moved south away from her family to a special school. INAC's Northern program is responsible for keeping her here. Steve Brown is the program's coordinator for the Sioux Lookout district.
Some of the kids never did come to school previous to the development of the special ed initiative in Sioux Lookout district. Within a year, we're seeing better communication, better attitude, improved attendance, happier kids, and parents that really approve and like what they see in terms of the way the school and the child are developing.
The shape A.
Trying to learn with a disability takes extra time and effort from a lot of people. Special education's first priority is to try and meet the student's own needs, even if it means changing a few things. For everyone, a passing grade is less important than the feeling of success.
Listen.
When Linda brings Stacy to the kitchen for individual instruction,
Yes,
it
the
helps to
water's
have a
boiling,
friend
so you
along.
can go back and make the jello. Okay, now. That's right. You turn it off. Okay, now. Okay.
As well as
down.
developing language and practical life skills, there's a sense of belonging. And for Stacy, a chance to prove himself.
A little bit of flare there. Watch, because it's hot water, so you keep it down. Good, so it doesn't splash.
It doesn't seem like much, but the simple task of mixing a few things together to make Jell-O gives Stacy the confidence he needs to tackle bigger jobs. Linda Warrad is one of Stacy's teachers.
Is the students that I take out in the afternoon to do a cooking program with, which is a way to work on real-life math skills. You have to follow directions. You have to plan your time, or things aren't going to be there. You have to learn how to tell time, how to measure. That's an attractive activity. That's not like sitting there and laboring over decoding words to learn to read. The first thing that we look for that gives us an indication that it's working is a display of confidence. and you can see that in posture as they accomplish things in here. Even though things are going to become more difficult, they are, you know, they're happy to come, they do the activities, their attendance picks up in school. Teachers will notice that concentration improves in the classroom and they're much more willing to attempt things.
The special education program in Pikangikum is an example of a new program working extremely well. The people who keep it going consider that education should be more than a classroom exercise. It should be a part of life in the community. John Strang is a community elder and a member of the school committee.
If you have news or information from your village or community, please call Heartbeat Alaska, area code 907-563-3507, or fax 907-563-7079.
Thank you for joining me for this segment of Heartbeat Alaska. Join me next week where we travel down to Southeast Alaska and visit with the Tlinkits and their special ceremony honoring veterans of past wars. On a closing note, I'd like to tell you that I am honored to bring you Native news across the North, sharing cultures, our different ways with one another. Join me next week, won't you? I'm Jeannie Green.